I initially got involved in Violence Free Futures 24 years ago when I took a tour through the center and realized what a need there was in our community and what good things were happening there. What's kept me involved is the staff, is seeing the success of the organization, and the board members that I've had the honor of and pleasure of working with that understand what we're doing and why we're doing it to make our community a stronger, better place to be. Why is it so important to our community to have a organization like Violence Free Futures? It's incredibly important. If we look at that in terms of just the financial impact to a community, it's huge. It is about breaking the cycle of violence, the trauma that it causes long-term health issues. So our health system is impacted by domestic and sexual violence. There is the idea that there's generational consequences, that people continue either being victimized or being abusers, that then create issues like school shooters. If we look at the number of school or mass shootings that are predicated by a domestic violence event, it's really scary. And so being able to understand that we have got to end it. I read a statistic recently that over the lifetime of somebody that's involved in a domestic violence situation is that they spend $100,000 just on medical care, on psychological care. It really impacts our communities. It makes us less healthy when we have domestic violence happening that we're not involved in stopping and in stopping that cycle of violence. Having the education programs that we do in the schools, where we talk to the kids about what a healthy relationship looks like, goes a long way in beginning that process early of people understanding what's healthy and what's not, so they can catch the signs and the psychological triggers that may get them into an abusive situation one day. So it's really important that it's a multifaceted approach, that the education reaches the maximum number of people. The way that I've seen the organization evolve over the time that I've been involved in the organization is that they are adding programs all the time, that they're understanding what the survivors need to have in order to bring them to a spot where they're safe and secure. So that means programs around legal issues, working very closely with the courts, as well as providing programs in the schools about prevention, and then doing intervention work that is there before a survivor needs to come into shelter, which is huge. And it helps them understand the reason they're in the situation they're in and how to get out of it. There's so many proud moments that I have. One of the very best is that when we started our pet program, where we allowed survivors to bring in their animals that they're fearful of leaving because the abuser may kill them. So that whole program, and it's been so well supported by the community and by the board, that is a really proud moment. But I also have proud moments around the idea that we expanded how we provide food for our survivors in shelter, that it's given them more agency because we built a coffee bar, we built spaces for them to get snacks and to be available anytime they need that. They can go down and get that without having to ask someone's permission. What I see and hear about as you get involved in this is that there's over 10 million people a year that are affected by domestic violence or intimate partner violence. And that's a quarter of all men will be touched by it, and a third of all women will be touched by it. So it's so important, the work that we do, and that we have people that think that it's not in my backyard, and yet it is. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic group you're in. It doesn't matter who your friends are, where you work. It touches everyone, and it's so important that we get over the embarrassment, that we understand why people are not leaving their abusive spouses or partners. And the thing that I love about our board that we've worked on to become better at supporting the organization is sustainable fundraising, is getting out there and finding people who believe like we do. I think the future of our agency really has to hinge on a few things. Number one, it's to continue to grow, get our message out, and grow in a way that we provide more programs and more support for those people that are either heading towards a situation where they're going to need shelter, and head that off by providing counseling, by working with the abusers so that they don't abuse again, by providing transitional housing. Something that we don't do right now is that when a survivor comes into the shelter, they go from the shelter to their own apartment. If we had a way to still enfold them in services, but give them more autonomy, that would be a fabulous place to be, that would be located right there with our shelter campus. Give them that soft landing before they go out and have their own apartment. Give them more skills at handling their abuser when they leave shelter, to give them the necessary tools, and to work with kids and other family members who've been touched by the trauma of that violence. I think those are ways that I see our future in the organization, is to continue to grow services and then see the population of people that need our services shrink. That would be a wonderful future.